Prophet Muhammad series, based on authentic sources.
The desert wind carries the scent of iron and dust. It is the sacred month, a time when, by ancient Arabian law, all swords must be sheathed and all vendettas paused. But in the valley of Ukaz, the truce has been shattered. Arrows darken the sky, and the sanctity of the Haram is violated. Amidst this chaos stands a teenager, shielding his uncles from the barrage. He is witnessing the collapse of the old tribal order, an event that will forge his commitment to a justice that transcends blood and lineage. In our previous episode, we followed the young Muhammad on his first journey to Syria, witnessing the recognition of his prophetic signs by the monk Bahira and his safe return to Mecca under the protection of his uncle Abu Talib. Now, we enter the obscure but pivotal years of his adolescence, from age 12 to 20. These were not years of idle waiting. They were a crucible of character, marked by the violent, sacrilegious war, Haram al-Fijar, and the establishment of the alliance of the virtuous, al-Fudul. This is the story of how a young man navigated a society on the brink of moral disintegration to become Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Upon returning from Syria, Muhammad resumed his life in the household of Abu Talib. Mecca was growing wealthier, but also more stratified. The egalitarian spirit of the desert was giving way to the greed of a mercantile oligarchy. The Quraysh controlled the religious sanctuary, but their trade caravans required safe passage through territories controlled by rival tribes, specifically the powerful Hawazin and Thaqif to the east. Tensions reached a breaking point when a man named al-Barrage from the Benu Kinana, allies of Quraysh, assassinated Urwa al-Rahal of the Hawazin to steal a caravan intended for the king of Al-Hira. This treacherous act occurred during the holy month of the Al-Qiyada, a time when fighting was strictly forbidden by the ancient code of Muru'ah. The violation of the sacred month gave the conflict its name, Harb al-Fudul, the War of Sacrilege. The Hawazin, seeking vengeance, pursued the Quraysh and Kinana. The battles were not a single engagement, but a series of skirmishes fought over several years, primarily around the market of Ukaz and the valley of Nakhla. The Prophet was approximately 15 to 20 years old during these conflicts. Historical sources, including Ibn Hisham, clarify his role. He did not kill. He did not strike a blow. Instead, he stood by his uncles, Abu Talib, Az-Zubair, and Hamza, collecting the enemy arrows that fell short and handing them back to his kinsmen to return fire. This limited participation is significant. It showed his loyalty to his clan, Asabiya, a necessary survival trait in Arabia, yet preserved him from the stain of shedding blood in a war sparked by treachery. The war ended in a stalemate, with the Quraysh paying blood money for the excess dead of the Hawazin, but the moral scars on Meccan society remained visible. In the aftermath of the war, the social fabric of Mecca continued to fray. The strong devoured the weak. This culminated in an incident involving a Yemeni merchant from the tribe of Zubayd. He came to Mecca to sell goods to Al-As bin Wa'il, a powerful chieftain of the Benu Saham and father of the famous general Amr bin al-As. Al-As took the goods but refused to pay, relying on his status to intimidate the stranger. The Yemeni, finding no support among the clans who feared Al-As, climbed Mount Abu Qubais at sunrise. Overlooking the Kaaba, where the Quraysh chiefs gathered, he recited a poem of piercing anguish, calling upon the men of the house to uphold the honor of their sanctuary. The plea shamed the nobility of the Quraysh. As Zubayr ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's uncle, was the first to respond, declaring, "This man cannot be abandoned." The clans of Hashim, al-Muttalib, Zahra, Taim, and Asad gathered in the house of Abdullah ibn Judan, a wealthy and elderly chief known for his hospitality. There, they prepared a feast and dipped their hands into a bowl of perfume or water to seal a solemn oath. They swore by God that they would stand as one hand with the oppressed against the oppressor until the rights of the victim were restored. The young Muhammad, then around 20 years old, witnessed and participated in this pact. Decades later, after the advent of Islam, he would recall this moment with profound nostalgia, saying, "I witnessed in the house of Abdullah ibn Judan a covenant which I would not exchange for the choicest red camels. And if I were invited to it in Islam, I would accept it." They marched to Al-As bin Wa'il, confronted him with the collective power of the allied clans, and forced him to pay the Yemeni merchant every dirham owed. By the age of 20, Muhammad stood apart from his peers. He had seen the horrors of war, but had not lost his humanity. He had seen the corruption of the elite, but had aligned himself with the few who sought justice. He was not a hermit withdrawing from society, but an active participant in its moral rectification. He was now a young man of striking presence, described as having a luminous countenance, walking with a vigorous stride as if descending a slope. He was known simply as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, and as-Sadiq, the truthful. But reputation alone does not fill a plate. As a poor orphan in a city obsessed with wealth, he needed a livelihood. His integrity was his only capital. This reputation would soon catch the attention of Mecca's most eligible and wealthy woman, setting the stage for a partnership that would change history. Join us in the next episode as we explore Muhammad early adulthood, his employment by the noble Khadija bint Khuwaylid, and the profound love story that led to their marriage.